Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to a best of 5 series. That is the grand finals of a 2 versus 2 tournament. The lion's share of $15,000 is on the line in this particular series. Spotting right here in the top right hand corner as Team Blue. First off, playing with the Protoss pieces. We're looking inside of the main base of none other than MaxPax, widely considered to be one of the very best Protoss players in the world. His ally, his teammate right next to him, playing with the, I guess, the light blue, the cyan colors, the Terran SCVs. We have none other than Spirit, and their opponents all the way in the opposite corner. First off, in orange, we have Trigger, representing Team Basilisk, and then his ally. We're looking inside of the main base of ShoWTimE. Now, apparently we have 2 Protosses going up against a Terran and a Protoss. That's interesting to me, because most of the time, at least in the 2v2 games that I've casted in the past, it seems to be greatly beneficial to have a variety of units. So for 2 Protoss players to make it this deep into the tournament is really, really cool. Now, like I said, this is the grand finals of, I think, about a 2-week or so running tournament. It was hosted by Euthermal, who was also nice enough to send me the replay pack. So big shout out to Mark for sending me these games to go ahead and check out. Now, as you may have already noticed, on the scoreboard, there is currently a 1-0 advantage here for, well, Team Blue. We have MaxPax and Spirit currently leading this series 1-0. The reason for it is quite simple. They came from the upper bracket. So because of that, they haven't lost a series in the playoffs just yet. And therefore, they do get that small lead, whereas Trigger and ShoWTimE apparently had to fight their way through the lower bracket of the event, and effectively they've already used their first life in like a 2-life tournament, right? So in a double elimination format, you usually do give the advantage to the players that come from the upper bracket. Either way, what do we have over here? So the 2v2 meta is something that's been rapidly developing in 2025 so far. Pro gamers are always interested in checking it out, but it does sort of seem that if there are no tournaments for them to play, they just won't. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of financial sense, right? If you spend a lot of time playing team games, but you may as well be playing 1v1. So Euthermal really has been the one in, well, really the lead in as far as that goes, right? He's been hosting quite a few of those 2v2 events, actually also funding the majority of it. So really cool to see. I'm excited to have a look and maybe also a bit of an update as to what the 2v2 meta is currently like. MaxPax starting this off with a quick Stargate, likewise as well for ShoWTimE. It looks like Trigger has not really gone for anything like that. Instead, he is spending his money on a, well, quick expansion and also a bunch of gateways. We have a lot of pinging going on around the map. I'm sure that the players are in voice chat whilst they're playing against each other. And this is already looking like, just at like the pinging on the map and just the general action around the map goes, this is already looking so much more advanced than a few months ago. Like, it's clear to me just by the army movement and the ways that things are happening here out on the game that there is just a lot more refinement that has happened. Now, Trigger and ShoWTimE, though, are moving in with quite an aggressive push. Oracle will be arriving here in just a moment. Trigger is the one with way more gateway units available. Spirit really wanted to finish up the command center on the low ground. So far has not been able to achieve exactly that. And in a moment, he may very well be forced to cancel it. Then again, though, we have the units here for the players in blue joining in. The Cyclone is going to be phenomenal. Lock on one of the Stalkers, and I don't think it's going to be able to escape. Maybe the other Stalkers can get revenge. Not the case just yet. SCV sneaks out as well. And it looks like the command center on the low ground will be able to finish. Nope, never mind, because the Oracle swooped in. And now ShoWTimE is thinking about going after the SCVs inside of the main base too. In the meantime, we have likewise aggression too, as, well, 2 Oracles pass each other by. There is a shield battery inside of the mineral line though of ShoWTimE, so he should be able to save at least the majority of the probes. And right from the get-go, we have action all over the map. Man, it's so much fun. It's actually so sick. I still feel like the 2v2 game modes and the 3v3, 4v4 are still quite unexplored in the StarCraft 2 universe. We've seen so many 1v1s over the years that this may just be like one of the things that is required to keep the game fresh, to keep the game interesting. Because there's just so much more, right? So many more possibilities. Great defense, though, by the players in blue, who are now thinking about going on the offense with all of the units left over. Phoenix production has kicked in. Phoenixes were very popular earlier this year when we did see some more 2v2 events. Phoenixes, generally speaking, not played very commonly in 1v1, but in 2v2 and in team games in general, they seem to be one of the best choices you can go for. ShoWTimE is going to bring those Oracles back home to try and help out with the base defense, but honestly, it is not looking all too great for them. That being said, though, MaxPax is currently a little bit supply blocked. That's unfortunate. And the players on the other side of the map did expand as well, right? So they've been building up their economies. So therefore, I don't believe that they will be doubling down to this all-in. Nope. We are gonna go into a third base instead. Already, though, all the way at the bottom of the map, Trigger was anticipating similar plays as well. So he's decided to also go for an expansion way down south. This is quite a tricky location to actually see. I don't think, unless the Phoenix is flying that direction here soon, I don't think that Team Blue is going to be able to pick up on that here particularly quickly. Okay, so the dust has settled, though, as far as the early game aggression goes. So that means that the players can start transitioning. Protoss here across the board, they seem to be very fond of going into Blink. So we have 3 players researching Blink. Trigger already finished that upgrade for himself. In the meantime, Terran, well, we're going into Stimpaks, and usually that's when we do see a little bit of a lull in the game, at least in 1v1. Because without Stimpak, it's hard to really do much. Oracles, though, being so obnoxious. I love that the Phoenixes were there to lift up the Stalkers, and ultimately this is now giving them a lot of free roaming once again. Trigger is thinking about being the aggressor. Look at that. ShoWTimE and Trigger actually building proxy pylons by themselves as the units do get intercepted. One of the Oracles ended up going down. ShoWTimE going for a faraway warp in, but soon we can continue warping in right over here. Okay. Even though they were just recently under a lot of threat, we have Team Red building up a big army right now on the other side. Let's see. Can they actually get the kill on the opposing player's third base? Because getting an entire expansion killed would be big. The Terran player is nowhere to be seen just yet. We're going to have to see Spirit's units rolling on over in this direction. Siege tanks, of course, very nice. We have MaxPax's Phoenixes lifting up some of those important units as well just to buy time. I really love the Siege tank, though. I think the Siege tank is going to be exactly what you need here. Multiple Siege tanks are going to make it super difficult for the Stalkers to continue their aggression unless they want to aggressively blink on top of this. And very soon, Spirit is going to be able to finish up Stimpak as well. Do you blink in? That's the question. Yes, you do. One of the Siege tanks gets targeted down. Second Siege tank will be next as well. Stasis Ward also did not quite get triggered there, but I think the numbers here are just a little bit too good for MaxPax and Spirit. The amount of units they have, at least for now, is really, really nice. All right, shield batteries are being set up. Keep in mind that on the other side of the map, Trigger is also mining off of a third himself. Extremely close game so far. New siege tank does arrive, but obviously it needs to siege up, and it's basically not available for the majority of this engagement. That defensive stasis ward, though, worked out brilliantly. As sure, the siege tank ended up going down, but so do a lot of the Stalkers get put into stasis. And with that all in, not quite working out, Trigger and ShoWTimE decide to tap out. Whew! Next up, we find ourselves on Undercurrent. What are we doing? Why are we pinging the map? Ah, that's why. ShoWTimE and Trigger are both going out onto the map to go for a cheeky little proxy. Now keep in mind, this is a best of 5. Meaning that the loser of this match, I mean, if the players over here in red, if they end up losing this game, the series is over. This is extremely ballsy. Then again, Spirit and MaxPax are not scouting just yet. They share a ramp, so that's nice. The boys at the very least get to defend one ramp together, but sometimes they can actually sort of lull you into a false sense of security. Yeah, we are just going full cheese. Look at that. Proxy gateways going up for both players, it seems. Are you going to add a second one as well, Trigger? I would imagine so. There we go. Gas geysers are also coming up. Ah, that's the big difference here. That second pylon came up at a different timing. That's why the gateways are slightly mismatched. ShoWTimE is going to pretend like he's just scouting. He's like, hey, everything's normal. Don't you worry about me. MaxPax and Spirit feel like they can get away without any sort of scouting. Quick Nexus as well in the corner. It's one of the cool things, actually, about this particular map. You have a shared expansion. Usually if you play random 2v2s on the StarCraft 2 ladder, it's a first come, first serve type of situation. But obviously you should probably be talking about it. And low ground base here is about the last thing that Spirit should be going for. Okay. Units are going to be arriving here in just a moment. Cybercores are coming up as well, but for now it will just be Zealots produced out of all of the gateways. Well, all of the gateways except the one of Max. This is going to be dangerous. Now, do you target the command center or do you go for the throat? I think normally you would go for the throat, but maybe in a situation like this, going for the command center is better, or maybe to split off one of the Zealots to go after the CC and that's it. I mean, a bunker is coming up right now, but there's only a single Reaper available. That one is going to start working away at whatever's going on over there. But yeah, no, they decide to move up to the high ground. This is an all-in. Probius has decided to split himself off from the rest of the pack and will kill the SCV that was building up that command center. Man, we have some synchronized murdering going on over here. A new Olympic sport, apparently. SCVs are going to try and repair this, but already, of course, the front door is wide open and there's just not a lot of production. Gateway was unpowered there for just a moment, and GG's get called. It looks like game number 2 here is literally taking 3 minutes. Turns out I'm dumb. I just confirmed it. I already thought it was a little bit weird to have a best of 5 grand finals for a $15,000 tournament. That's because it's not. It's a best of 7. My bad. So I purposely didn't really want to look into this all too much because, well, I don't want to spoil myself, right? It's one of the problems you have as a StarCraft 2 commentator when you usually cast a lot of games from replays as well. You want to be up to date on the tournament and the format and all that, but you don't really want to be so up to date that you accidentally spoil yourself for the results. This is a bit of a dilemma, but no, this is a best of 7. Okay. So that's nice. That, of course, means that the first players to win 4 maps, or in MaxPax and Spirit's case, they end up winning 3 maps, because they have that 1-0 starting advantage. That would be enough for them to obtain the victory. Either way, a very quick and aggressive series thus far. Again, it looks like we will be blocking expansions. Is this really worth it, Max? Max going for the double block. Trigger wants to move down to the low ground, sees that his natural expansion is blocked. And now I guess we're going to be blocking this one too. Do you actually let the pylon finish? Looks like you do. Yeah. Yeah, okay, double pylon block. This is super expensive though and would be completely unheard of in a 1v1 game. So MaxPax has now delayed his own stuff for so long. Normally, this would be the point as a Protoss player where you would build up both the Cybercore as well as the Nexus, and MaxPax can't even afford one of the two right now. Okay, he decides to finally build up the base. Now, Roskalion, by the way, last time I checked, does have a cursed little doodad in the natural expansion. This is one of my most hated things about StarCraft maps. When the map makers put visual indicators underneath where the bases should be, but they're off-center. It makes it look right now like MaxPax's base is off-center, but I'm pretty sure Roskalion is one of those maps where the doodad is off-center and not the actual base. Anyways, proxies are going up again. No way. No freaking way. ShoWTimE and Trigger are once more building up shenanigans. Now, the Reaper of Spirit is scouting, and he will see that there's a random pylon over there. This is a different type of cheese. Man, I don't know what I expected, right? We have 2 Protoss players teaming up. Did I really think we're gonna see macro? ShoWTimE's pro player trying to figure out if he should if he should still commit. Of course we still commit. It's a proxy dark shrine. The Stargate here was denied for a little bit, or at the very least scouted. It looks like Max did confirm that it's still going on though, as both players are just going full cheese. I'm pretty sure, as we do also get the Dark Shrine scouted here, man, that's an absolute disaster for Team Red. I'm pretty sure, as I speak, there's about a dozen games being played that look exactly like this, with one guy going Proxy Stargate and the other teammate going Proxy Dark Shrine. Either way, so far, Max and Spirit seem to be very good at figuring this sort of shenanigans out. Well, they lost to it in the previous game, but I mean, margin for error will always be small, especially when you have 2 players willing to make the commitment. I really wonder what the road of Trigger and ShoWTimE was in this tournament. Like, how did they make it to the grand finals? Did they just cheese their way to success? Is that what they did? Because I'm starting to get that vibe. Anyways, it's working out quite nicely for them here thus far. Getting a bit of damage done as well on the orbital command. Dark Templar, by the way, did get warped in. Not all heroes wear capes, but maybe they do. We'll have to see. Phoenix production was here, by the way. But yeah, recall is going to be forced as they really want to be keeping all of their stuff alive as well. And what about the DTs, right? Can we actually get them in? Well, even though the Dark Shrine was scouted, the Dark Templar still sneak through at the cost of 2 scans. I mean, it could be quite nice. The Phoenixes are also here. MaxPax would love to lift up the Dark Shrine, but or the Dark Templar rather, but he can't see it. 1 SCV trying to out-repair this. It's slow going. I guess we're waiting for Spirit to get another scan down. Does he have energy for it? He does not. Oh, no. Are we really gonna lose this game? Just like those games on the ladder that are going on as we speak? To 1 Dark Templar? No. Revelation is here. MaxPax is gonna be able to make short work of it eventually, but that was still a lot of losses. 10 SCVs, 5 probes? Honestly, not bad. Okay. Now, I do believe that the age of cheese is over now, though. Even though the gateway is still up over here in the bottom left, I don't really think that Trigger and ShoWTimE can continue the aggression all too much longer. And if you look at the supply count right now, it's a pretty even game. Yeah. This map is huge, by the way. Roscallion. Always feels like there's a lot of space connecting the bases here. So you again have an optional third over here on the low ground for one of the players, but then the other one has to take it quite a bit further out. I quite like those asymmetrical base layouts. So obviously the game is perfectly mirrored, but I quite like it when you have to make a strategic choice of who gets what base. Because some of the 2v2 maps, actually most of the 2v2 maps... Ooh, nice interception. Well, somehow, some way. All right. Most of the 2v2 maps have like, okay, there's 2 naturals and then 2 third bases and 2 fourth bases and obviously 2 mains. But I think it's kind of cool when you have a choice to make, right? Like, who gets this base, who gets the other? You're forced to make a little bit of a strategic choice. Now, I think MaxPax and Spirit will probably benefit from the games running a little bit longer. It's just the way that their units flow together. I've got a feeling that like Marines, Marauders, and then all of the other, well, ground-based units, for example, for Protoss, will just merge together a little bit nicer. So ShoWTimE and Trigger probably want to get at least a little bit of a move on. We did have a Dark Shrine as well for Max. He does have a proxy pylon of his own. Of course, he's still a Protoss player, okay? I've been told that the homes of Protoss players smell like cheese. I don't know if that's true. But if they get scented candles, it will mostly be cheddar. Phoenix is still going around though. MaxPax picking up whatever he can. He's playing Phoenix Dark Templar thus far. Look at them just passing by the photon cannon. They just march into the base. MaxPax strikes back. And this is gonna hurt quite a bit. Yeah, there's a shield battery, but Dark Templar one-shot probes. Immediate pull right there, though, from both Trigger and ShoWTimE, as the probes will make their way to the low ground again. The DTs will have to be taken care of, but observers are coming up. Actually, there's new ones being made. There's ones being warped in as well in this location. All right, this will be taken care of in a moment. And Trigger is also taking a very far forward expansion. I actually thought that the base you would take here next is the one north of ShoWTimE's third, but apparently we're going to go for the forward one instead. Spirit is going to take the southern expansion, so he is expanding vertically. He's also taking care of that Dark Shrine right now in the gateway, and then also the pylon that was already here. And it looks like we're settling in for a bit more of a macro game. At least that's what I said right until this push moved out, right? So we have both ShoWTimE and Trigger ready to go for a big assault. The production tab is freaking large, but we have 4 gateways, 3 gateways. Yeah, more of them are gonna finish up here in just a moment. Okay, let's see. Stasis Ward, though, is really good. We don't have combat shields done yet, but Stimpack is finished. Not a lot of medevacs anywhere to be seen, though. There's a couple of them showing up. Looks like MaxPax decides to retreat, as we do have a big blink up into the main around the site. Pylons did get shut down. That's nice and all, but I think the numbers here are okay enough for MaxPax to continue fighting. Half of the Stalkers have already retreated. Looks like a Dark Templar was being annoying. Marines and Marauders do activate... Actually, no Marauders. Activate the Stimpack research here. Trying to chase down that army, but nice control as well by Trigger. As this game has turned into a 2 times 1v1 here for just a moment. With 2 players engaging and then 2 other players engaging at the same time. Dark Shrine is going to be followed up here with a Robo Bay. And then we also have a Ghost Academy coming up. I think the Ghost Academy is going to be really sweet. Honestly, anything Protoss is susceptible to EMP. So any Ghost production here should be really nice. Usually quite difficult to get out. Terran needs at least like 3 bases up and running to reliably get it going. But Spirit got there now. And he's building up a 4th command center too. Looks like he's thinking about taking a base. MaxPax, that is, over here, far in the bottom left. That will be a little overly ambitious, as Proby is here and still going to try and make his way through. Okay. We have a Dark Templar as well on the other side of the map. Somehow, some way, Proby has made it. How did you do that, dude? That's crazy. Probius was like, yo, step aside, please. Step aside. Moving through. Excuse me. Excuse me. Coming through. Coming through. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Build up the base. Absolute legend. In the meantime, Trigger also building another base as well up north. Yeah, you can send Probius behind enemy lines. He doesn't care. Blink coming up for the Dark Templar in the meantime. And I would imagine, yep, Colossus production has kicked in as well. So ShoWTimE has started building up his Colossi. We're going from Stalkers and Zealots straight to the Colossus. And of course, that will be a very nice unit to have against especially these bio-based units. Spirit's still quite marine heavy, but now the Ghosts are starting to sprinkle onto the battlefield, and I think Marauders, each tank Ghost, something like that would work out really quite nicely. At that point, you don't even have to really care much about the opponent's Colossi. Either way, of course, you do need a mineral dump, and that will be the Marines for the time being. Matter of fact, drop goes into the main base right now. ShoWTimE can still warp in some reinforcements here, so this should be reasonably easy for him to clean up. And in the meantime, here's the army as well. A couple of the Stalkers do get blinked on, but they have blink of their own, so they decide to get away. Dark Templar, in the meantime, get intercepted by other men that also have blades for arms. Actually, I don't think the Dark Templar do. Doesn't matter. Well, actually, some of them do, I guess. Oh, big blink up towards the high ground, though, here from MaxPax, as he wants to try an assault together with his ally, the natural expansion. Oh, not bad. ShoWTimE is starting to take a lot of damage here. In the meantime, there's a counterattack, too. Looks like they've been caught, though, by a stasis ward. Okay, action all over the map suddenly. The Nexus, for now, is alive. Aggressive blink forward. Colossi just slowly chipping away at whatever they can. Oh, here comes the swarm, though. The swarm of Zealots. High Templar would be really nice to have available with Storm as well, but he doesn't even have the research done. They're just here to turn into Archons. Looks like the Stalkers are all blinked away. A couple of them get stuck on the Reaper ledge. And as the dust settles, that was a really nice attack there by Trigger and by MaxPax and Spirit. Trigger and ShoWTimE do stay alive. But ShoWTimE lost quite a bit of eco, I believe. He did run the majority of the probes, though, so he should be okay. And he still has 4 Nexi as well, right? So with 4 base, you can quite quickly rebuild. Okay. Ooh, aggressive blink in again. Siege tank on the low ground, medevac up on the high ground. Units going around the side as well, trying their very best. Looks like finally the proxy over there gets shut down, but here's the big attack though. Spirit and MaxPax have decided to join forces right now and go after one of the actual mining bases. No more tricks, no more drops. This is a full frontal attack. And is there enough here for the players in red to hold on? Well, It's a very significant army, but Trigger's supply is very rapidly dwindling. There's a bunch of Dark Templar in the meantime also going around the site. That blink of the DT is being used very nicely, but ShoWTimE's army by itself may just be enough to repel at least the Stalkers there from the opponent. Marines, Marauders, Ghosts, and Medivacs do go around the site though, as Spirit wants to deal some more damage. Not enough room in the Medivacs to pick everybody up. Nexus over here though, on the low ground, did go down. And I think that sort of justifies this push quite nicely. Trigger's army also really took a beating. Trigger now all the way down to just 55 supply. He's warping in a lot of High Templar. Archons will be nice, and nobody has ever shied away from making additional Archons if they can. But now this is effectively an all-in, and again, MaxPax and Spirit's forces have joined together. It's a very scary army. +3 is also just about to finish up right now for Max. Oh, a little overly ambitious, though, as he accidentally moved comments right there into a huge portion of the army. Marines and Marauders still available, though, and they are really starting to hurt now. Backing up again to the safety of the Planetary and the Siege Tank line as well. New expansion coming up for Trigger. They're thinking about going up towards the high ground, and the Stalkers and the Colossi will easily be able to do so. Well, even the Archons get brought in. That means that the Marauders, though, can go around the side. It looks like the Stalkers here of MaxPax want to try and help out, complete the sandwich. Stalkers again blink towards the low ground, and the Colossi will walk down, but they have now successfully cornered themselves. It's a very significant army, though. Aggressive blink down from his own natural into the army there of the opponent, and there is no other way out of this fight than by typing GG. All right, next up, we find ourselves on Rohana. This time around, we have an actual match point right here for Team Blue. Now, if you're enjoying these games, do make sure you hit the like button down below the video. It really does help. I know I don't really ask it all too frequently, and I know I probably should be asking it a little bit more frequently, but I am certainly more than down to check out more 2v2s as well. It is so much fun, right? Even though it's a lot of chaos. I'm doing my best to hopefully catch all of the action, but there is so much chaos all over the map. I guess that's what happens when you have, well, in this particular instance, 4 players that are all capable of easily hitting 400 average actions per minute, right? You just get so much all over the map. It can be difficult to really keep track of like the ebb and flow of the battle, right? Usually a 1v1 is a little bit more of an obvious tug of war. At least to me, maybe it's just because we just have a lot more experience looking at games of 1v1, so the flow of the battle is a little bit easier to understand. But 2v2s are very exciting as well. And like I said, this is, in a way, even though it's quite popular, in a way, it's still unexplored territory, at least compared to 1v1. Now, both ShoWTimE and Trigger are once more going double gates first, but they're building them on their side of the map this time. I do see a bunch of probes, though, moving out again. Looks like ShoWTimE might be doing a little bit of sightseeing as Trigger. Okay. Oh, Trigger and ShoWTimE built another proxy. The probes that cheese together stay together. Trigger and ShoWTimE trying to turn into a bit of an, I guess a Protoss Archon? What would be their Archon name? ShoTrig. Actually kind of dangerous to play this game with Trigger's username. Anyways, we have a Proxy Robo. Is that what we're doing? Okay. Double Proxy Robo. I was wondering what we were gonna set out in the middle of the map. Yeah, extra gateway will be coming up to make this a fast warp-in point as well. I gotta say though, MaxPax and Spirit seem a little bit more refined. Right, like ShoWTimE and Trigger are kind of doing the same thing, but they're doing their own interpretation of the build. Obviously, that's not as easy to compare right here for the team in blue, but it just does seem like everything is just a little bit more all over the place. MaxPax, by the way, has scouted. What's going on? He has seen the Adept. Yep, they have now swooped into the bases. Already, though, bunkers are coming up, right? So the Immortals, Prisms, that sort of thing are going to be an absolute necessity in order to break through this. The Adepts, though, can shade past the bunkers for now. Siege Bank production is coming up. Okay, fair enough. Okay, we're actually gonna go Prism drops. That's kind of crazy to me. I would have been in the same camp right here as both Spirit as well as MaxPax and assumed that this was gonna be Immortal play, but no, it's actually for Prisms. Love this, though, from Max. Going into Void Rays here is actually a very good idea. But we've just used the Prism here to elevate the units straight into the main base. Let's see, how much damage can we do? Siege tank production, though, has kicked in now. One of them is out. Sieging up right next to the gas guys. They're quite far away. Oracle decides to go across the map. And that honestly could be a game-winning Oracle. If this is not going to deal enough damage, that Oracle that MaxPax is currently sending towards the opposing side of the map could be huge. Siege tank now has gotten within range. Void Ray is now also available for the defense. What about this? Okay, looks like Trigger is on top of at least his own mineral line. What about the Stalkers here? Okay, also set up properly. ShoWTimE and Trigger will be able to survive for a little while longer, but what exactly have they achieved with this cheese? They did not expand, whereas in the meantime on the low ground over here, MaxPax and Spirit have. And their Proxy, while scouted, didn't really achieve anything. And that's a big problem. If we look at the worker count right now, it's not the end of the world here, I guess, for Trigger and for ShoWTimE. But they're going to fall behind very rapidly in the amount of income that they have. They effectively now have to go for one final hurrah over here at the front, and I wish them good luck, man. There's shield batteries, there's siege tanks, there's bunkers. It'll get harder and harder over time. Maybe try to go for another push around the side, but at this point you have to kill the equivalent of probably about 20 workers for this to be worthwhile and then lose nothing of your own in the process. They need to get something done soon. Prismatic Alignment, though, gets activated. 3 Void Rays. Normally a useful unit in 1v1, but not very common. I think in 2v2, in this kind of setup, it is absolutely brilliant. GG gets cold. And just like that, MaxPax and Spirit obtained the victory in an extremely action-packed series. Wasn't entirely sure what to expect going into this match, but, I mean, they just seemed to step ahead of the rest. I think it's time for the rest of the StarCraft 2 pro gamers to get up to their level in 2v2.